Shalom. I'm gonna try to show y'all how Ruth was an Israelite and why she was called a Moabite. She was called a Moabite because the law says not to change the names of landmarks in Deuteronomy 19:14. But first I'm gonna start with the layout of the land and the history of the land of that part of the land. Now when the Israelites was coming out of Egypt, before they crossed to the Jordan, they got to the part of the land that the Amorite king Sihon controlled, and they sent messengers to the king of the Amorites. His name was Sihon, so they could cross his land and go into the Jordan, but he wouldn't let them, and he came out and fought against Israel. Now, before that happened, though, that part of the land was the land of Moab, but King Sihon took that land from the Moabite king. He took the Moabite land from the Arnon River north all the way to the Jabbok River. So that became Amorite territory. Now, when the Israelites got there, they wanted to cross that land that he took from the Moabites. And they fought over it. And Israel won the fight. And the Israelites took all of that land from the Jabbok River to the Arnon. And they dwelt there. Now that place is where the plains of Moab is. Some Bibles say the plains of Moab. Some Bibles say the country of Moab. But I'm going to call it the country of Moab because that's what the 1611 King James calls it. Now, they took that part of the land and they dwelt there. And that's where Moses died. And the scriptures calls that the land of Moab because the scripture is according to the law. So the scripture telling you that's the land of Moab, so you'll know where they talking about. Plus the the law says not to remove landmarks. So you'll know what part they talking about. He was buried right there in the country of Moab by Mount Nebo or in Mount Nebo. The scriptures say nobody know. I'm sweating a little bit because I'm in my car because it's noisy in the house. I got kids and I'm trying to get a quiet environment to share this information. So Numbers 21:19 tells you that where the plain of Moab is, the country of Moab. It's across from the Jordan River by Mount Nebo. Also, Numbers 35 verse 1 tell you that the country of Moab is across from the Jordan by Mount Nebo. Also, Deuteronomy 34:1 tell you that the country of Moab is across from the Jordan by Mount Nebo. That's north of the Arnon River. Now, by the time the Israelites settled in their land, the Moabite land was south of the Arnon River till you got to the Edomite territory. That was their border, the land of Edom. Now, when Ruth chapter 1 verse 1 tell you that the Ephrathites went to sojourn in the country of Moab, it called them the Ephrathites so you would know where they was coming from. They was coming from Bethlehem, but Bethlehem was called Ephrat. That's what one of the prophecies of the Messiah calls it. So that's Deuteronomy 19:14 is letting you know where it is. That's why that law was established, so you will know where things are and what prophets is talking about, because they wrote according to the law. So you have to understand the law to understand scripture. So when The Ephrathites went to the country of Moab. They didn't go into the land of Moab. They went to Reuben's land because Moses gave that part of the land to the Reubenites, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh. Because before they crossed the Jordan, the Reubenites seen how good that land was because they had a lot of cattle, and they seen how good that land was. So they said, can we have this land for an inheritance? And the agreement was that they would get that land, but they still got to go across the Jordan with their brothers and fight the Canaanites. And then they could come back and enjoy rest. So when Ruth says that they went to the country of Moab, it's telling you they went to Reuben's land to sojourn as strangers among the Reubenites because it was a famine in the land of Judah. Because when the famine come, it mean they was breaking commandments and laws, so God punished them. So they went to sojourn somewhere else. Now it called Ruth the Moabitess because she left her tribe of inheritance to sojourn with the Jews in the land of Judah. So when she went over there, that's how they was telling her apart. That's how they distinguished her from the rest of the people. They called her the Moabitess because she wasn't a Jew. Though she was an Israelite, she wasn't a Jew. She was a Hebrew. She was a Reubenite. Now, later on in the book of Ruth at chapter 4, verse 6, I believe. I'm doing all of this off memory. So I don't got no notes, but I know what I'm talking about. Now, Ruth chapter 4, verse 6. Tells you the kinsman said, I cannot redeem her for myself, lest I mar my own inheritance. Now, he couldn't redeem her because he was gonna mess up his inheritance, because the law, Deuteronomy 25, 5 through 10 say, if you raise up the dead and take your brother's wife, that her first, your firstborn, you got to name after that dead man. So their first child would have been called whatever, son of Malone. And that child would have either had the rights to that kinsman's inheritance, or that kinsman would have lost his inheritance and it would have went to the other child, because the heritage has to keep the name of the father alive. That's what the law is about, preserving the inheritance of the dead. That's why we're called Hebrews, after Abraham the Hebrew. That's why we're called Israelites, after Jacob the Israelite, after Jacob the Hebrew, whose name was changed to Israel. So that's just a pretty basic understanding of why Ruth was an Israelite. It called her a Moabite because the law said to not remove the landmarks or change the names when you get your inheritance of land. You couldn't change no names or no places. So she was called the Moabitess. Furthermore, Ruth 4 verse 6 calls him the kinsman, which means he was related to her by blood. That's why he was obligated to redeem her or to take care of her. You're not obligated to take care of no Moabite by blood, no member of the tribe of Moab. Nobody obligated to take care of them no matter what, even if they tried to come and sojourn among us, because the law says no Moabite shall enter among the congregation forever. because they didn't receive us with bread and water when we was coming out of Israel. I mean, when we was coming out of Egypt and we was trying to get into our land. That's why it's no Moabite or Ammonite allowed in the kingdom. Period. It ain't nothing else to talk about. It's a whole lot of other videos out there that do bring out some understanding on the situation, but that's the understanding from the scripture. That's why the kinsman didn't redeem her, because he didn't want to mess up his inheritance, and that's why he had to take off his shoe and give it to Boaz, because that's what the law said you had to do to redeem your brother's wife, who was a sister Israelite. So that's the understanding of it. I went too far, or maybe I took too long. I don't know. I hope I helped somebody out with this information. Sorry for all the sweat. It's hot in this car. Video is over. Shalom. Uh, keep studying. I know the truth, and I'm gonna keep learning it for the rest of my life. Shalom.